All right, let me ask you all a question. Who has ever heard me say the phrase, choose your hard? Who's heard that? I talk about it all the time, choose your hard. This morning, I wrote on my wall or my bathroom mirror, sort of thinking about that, like, how do you get somebody to understand what it takes to be mentally tough? I would argue that many of you inside this room, you're tough, right? You're tough up here, right, Lisa? Like, you'll work through the issues, you'll go through the pain. And I heard a phrase, and I would love for you guys to think about it because it's the perfect setup for who's coming up next. It was basically described to me as mental toughness is the person, like described as the person that can experience the most pain and persevere. The young man that's about to hit the stage went through something insane, and it should inspire every single one of you, which is why I asked him to speak to all of us today. Because do me a favor, look at your neighbor and say, you're way tougher than you think. Oh, I know. You're way tougher. Are you guys ready to be inspired? Yes or yes? Let's bring up my dear friend, Krys Benyamein. Let's go, Krys. Yes.
Thank you.
Have fun, buddy.
Thank you. What's up, guys? You are much tougher than you think you are. Hey, guys. So just a few months back, below the top of Mount Everest, I left my tent at something like 24,000 feet, and I thought to myself, my feet are a little colder than usual. But what you have to keep in mind is that I've had cold feet and cold hands for the last 7 weeks. So part of me is like, how much different is this now? But an hour passes. 2 hours pass. And to give you some context, Everest stands just about 29,000 feet higher than sea level. That's the cruising altitude of a jet. So I have this oxygen mask on my face, I have all this gear on my back, and there are some dark thoughts running through my head. But as I am climbing this face of ice, I am kicking my crampons into the snow, praying for the tingles to start kicking in. Nothing. Finally, thank God, finally, my Sherpa Dawa, in his forever calm voice, says, Krys, take off your boots. Take off your socks. We must look at your feet. And I'm like, Dawa, there is no chance I'm taking off my boots at 25,000 feet. I don't like taking my shoes off at TSA. And in his forever calm Sherpa tone, he insists, take off your boots, take off your socks. What was I gonna do? I gave in. What had happened was my socks had slid down and bunched up between my toes, but believe it or not even a shadow of blue. My feet were as pink and as pretty as feet could be for someone that hadn't showered in 7 weeks. But it was really in that moment, sort of those few hours up to Camp 4, that I let the discomfort consume me. I let it take control. And don't get me wrong, for any of the aspiring climbers that might be out here, when you think you're getting frostbite, the right thing to do is to stop and to check. But what climbing has taught me, like life, is that most of the time, we're dealing with bunched up socks, something really uncomfortable. But it ain't frostbite. What I have for us today is 3 lessons that relate to this idea of discomfort. But before we jump into it, I want to take you guys where my Everest journey really began. Baby Krys. When I was 21 years old, I remember being in my dorm room in Washington, D.C., when my friends and I were brainstorming how I could spend the next 6 months. I was graduating from college early, so we were sort of scheming what I could do in the interim, and totally off the cuff, one of my friends says, Krys, what about Mount Everest? There's no doubt that she was totally joking, but I remember thinking to myself for the first time, shit, that sounds so crazy, it's sort of cool. And you know, it's an interesting time in any 21-year-old's life because subconsciously, I think we're just wanting to do anything other than move back home. You know, growing up in Southern California, I had never even heard of the Himalayas, let alone done any hiking. But for whatever reason, it clicked. It just sort of resonated. And that spring, I took a trip to Nepal and I took a 4-week trek from a village called Jiri all the way to Everest Base Camp. And I remember seeing the mountain for the first time in the distance and saying, whoa, how wild is it to feel so small in the presence of the massive Himalaya? And that was really the first time that I knew I'd be back. That was really when the goal was set to climb Mount Everest. And it's funny how the universe just begins to conspire for you because life just started putting things in place to help me get there. I ended up at UNLV Law, shout out Las Vegas, which is right outside Red Rocks that has some of the best rock climbing in the world. I graduated and passed the bar just to move up to Lake Tahoe where I could get a real job, but honestly, just kind of keep climbing. And then I started ticking off smaller peaks here in North America, down in South America, over in Africa, all with the intent of eventually going back to Nepal, all with the goal of one day climbing Mount Everest. Lesson 1, the mood. Realtors are unique in the sense that we hate being told what to do. Well, we love not doing what we're told to do, like make our calls, record more videos, or prospect. But if someone says we can't do something, oh shit, game on. There is a wild myth out there that you have to be in the mood to do something. That you have to be in the mood to do something. Let me ask you guys this. Is the janitor in the mood to clean up the mess you left him from the barbecue you ate last night? Is the dental hygienist in the mood to clean the crust out your teeth? It is the human condition to think that we have to be in the mood to act. But this is the secret that I'm sharing with you guys today. You do not have to be in the mood to do something. Doing something will put you in the mood to do more. I can't tell you how many days on Everest my alarm would sound off at midnight for this alpine start, and the last thing I wanted to do was climb out of that sleeping bag. I had more desire to door knock than I did unzip that tent door and go outside. But you know what? I didn't always have to be in the mood to climb. Climbing put me in the mood to climb. And the more I learned that it was typical for me to hate the start, the more experience I had knowing that my body and mind were gonna hate me for the first 30 minutes, the easier it got to stop feeling bad for myself and just do the work. I hate to be the one that tells you guys this, but you might never be in the mood to make your calls. You might never have that tickle in the pickle that says today is the day to record that video. But you know what? The universe could care less about your feelings, and making your calls will put you in the mood to make more calls. Posting that video will put you in the mood to post another video. And it might not put you in the mood immediately. You will likely hate yourself when you get started. But what you will quickly discover is, hey, after 40 minutes of prospecting, that wasn't so bad. Or hey, videos 1 and 2, I could do a little better, but it didn't kill me. Or hey, that script I'm rehearsing, I might be able to do that again. You do not have to be in the mood to do something. Doing something will put you in the mood to do more. I want you guys to say something with me. Fuck your mood. Let me try that. Fuck your mood. Your mood is for a bottle of Chianti on a Friday night. Lesson 2. Lesson 2. The more comfortable we are with being uncomfortable, especially in this market, the closer we get to whatever it is that we're looking for. Everest is one of the most real examples of this idea because it seems to be only in discomfort that we are making real progress. In the climbing world, it's physical discomfort. It's waking up at midnight, climbing out of a warm sleeping bag, placing your feet in cold boots, and climbing through the ice and wind in order to get to the next camp. And while the normal world isn't exactly the same, it ain't too different. No one, especially realtors, but no one likes rejection. People hate the no. Real estate agents hate getting shut down. And do you know what many of us do instead of getting rejected? We don't do anything. We just don't act. Because somehow not trying feels better than getting shut down. But this is the second thing that I really want you guys to walk away with. Staying in our comfort zone prevents us from ever having that breakthrough that we're looking for. It prevents us from suffering for 2 months to reach the top of the world. It prevents us from having 10 conversations a day with people that gets us the escrows that we want at the end of the month. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. Lesson 3. Thank you. I remember coming back from Everest and going to the gym for the first time, and I could barely lift the bar. What happens is the altitude literally eats away at your muscles. So I left for this trip in March at 157 pounds, and I came back in June standing at $140. And that crushed me. Not that I was skinny, but that I was weak. It's easy to do stuff when you are good at it, but when you suck, it is hard. I mean, tell me that I'm wrong. For everyone here that is crushing the internet, hammering their listing appointments, nailing the phones, selling houses, it is easy to do it when you are in the flow. But when you're not flowing, it ain't so straightforward. You know, the epitome of success is that picture of a guy on top of the mountain, but the problem with that is that picture might be just once in a lifetime, or if it's escrows that we're chasing, maybe it's 20 to 30 a month. But what about every day? What about when we aren't closing the deals? We have to find joy in the daily disciplines. We have to trust that that process is gonna get us there. That doesn't mean that for all the new agents here, your first day on the job, you're hammering the phones from 9 to 3. It means that you're lifting the baby weights, that you're checking out the hot sheets, you're making 10 calls a day, you're connecting with these people, you're learning about the market. That doesn't mean you pick up a camera and you suddenly become Derek fucking Gregory or the broke agent. It means you put out duds for 18 months before people even realize you are alive. It's the truth. It is finding joy in these daily actions. It is trusting that that process will get us there. It is trusting that discipline. I thought we would have some time. I have a bonus lesson, lesson 4. It's my favorite one, gratitude. Being grateful is the gas in the tank when we can't afford to fill up our white BMWs. I'm just kidding, mine is eggplant. For 2 months, I slept in a tent. For 8 weeks, I took 5 showers, and those 2 were in a tent. For 60-ish or so days, I sat in a chair that required me to keep my abs so flexed in order to balance on this landmine of rocks underneath me. And the funny thing is, when I look back, I think about how much worse it could have been. I was so grateful to have a tent and not be sleeping in a bag outside. Some people do that. I was so relieved to have a chair, albeit a really shitty one, but a chair, and that I wasn't sitting in the ice and snow. I was so happy to shower in a tent instead of having to wash myself with a bowl of water. And I am grateful every day that I was only in these conditions for 2 months instead of having to live a life in it that a lot of these Sherpas feel like they have no way out of. My point is, whatever the situation we are in, It could be worse, way worse. Your leads say fuck you, at least your leads pick up the phone. Your leads don't pick up the phone, at least you have a phone to call your Uncle Earl to help drum up business. You don't have a phone, at least you have a voice in your throat box that allows you to talk to people at the supermarket. I joke, but I don't. Because if we are in this room right now, we are living in a state of abundance that 99% of the world wish they were in. They wish they had our problems. They wished they were dealing with our shit. Thank you. And by taking a step back and appreciating the little things, like how cold this room is and how hot and wet it is outside, is a blessing. So next time that we feel like shit is really hitting the fan, next time you think you really can't do anymore, do this for me. Do this for yourself. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. And ground yourself in someone that you're grateful for. Ground yourself in someone that you're grateful for. I promise you, it'll help put your ass back in check real quick. My name is Krys Benyamein. This ecosystem has done so much for me. I hope that I can do a fraction of it for you guys. Let's keep the conversation going. Send me a DM, drop me a follow. I would love to stay connected. And when you see me in the hallways outside, please approach me. I want to have these relationships. God bless you guys. God bless Tom Ferry. And thank you.
Dude, you absolutely killed it, man. Big round of applause for Krys.